It is your boy AT from AT's Barstool. Today we are back here on another video. It is episode 23 of AT's Barstool. And if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and then don't forget to follow at AT's Barstool. Link will be in the bio. And with that being said, let's get into it. This week we are going to be talking about the first week of high school football, as football season is officially back for not just high school football, but college and the NFL. As the first team we're going to be talking about is the John Dickinson Rams and the St. Andrew Saints, as Dickinson ended up losing this game 42-6. It was a really bad loss, as quarterback Thomas White threw for 3 touchdown passes. 2 of them went to Harden. Well, actually, my bad. 3 of them went to Harden, and 1 of them went to Lindsey. So my bad. I meant to say 4. It was a just really good game for him. And all in all, for Dickinson, the defense ain't looked all that good, as the secondary got absolutely terrorized. Offensively, Dickinson could not stop getting penalties on the offensive line, as Jafari Payne made a lot of great plays on the run and receiving wise, which his stats would be a lot better in the pass game if it wasn't for all those penalties. And then Omir Morgan, he didn't have that great of a game, as he went 1 for 12 and threw 4 interceptions. Yikes. And he threw for only 17 yards. Not a good game for him, and some of those plays were definitely called back due to holding. It was just not a good game all in all, and yeah, that's really it for the Dickinson St. Andrews game. And then the next game we are going to be talking about is the Brandywine High School Bulldogs versus Laurel, who ended up winning that game 26-19. Laurel getting their first win of the season, as Brandywine ends up going down 1-1. I feel like Brandywine definitely did shoot themselves in the foot, with the secondary not being all that well and not stopping the run game. As for Laurel, their defense stepped up big time, and it was just a really good game that was just really close, and Brandywine ended up not prevailing. As Brandywine, they do have a lot of good talent, and Laurel does too, but man, that's a pretty tough loss, and I feel like Brandywine could have won that game. All in all, I will say they did compete really well, as Laurel is a 2A school and Brandywine is one of the best teams in 1A. And yeah, that game, it was just a close game, really good game and all that. Going on to the next game is going to be the William Penn Colonials versus Cape Penn Lopin, as Cape destroyed them 35-7. My opinion, I thought that this game was going to be closer, but it ended up not being closer, as Jamison Tungle had a really good game. All in all, in the Cape Penn Lopin defense stepped up big time against this William Penn offense, who's supposed to be pretty good this year. They got Mark Moore, and they got a couple other key players they got too. And also quarterback Cam Gardner, who didn't play all that well apparently. And yeah, William Penn, they should have had a better game, but all in all, it is what it is. William Penn will go down 0-1, and Cape Penn Lopin is going to start their season off 2-0. Because last week they took down St. Mark's 33-3, and now they're beating William Penn 35-7. All in all, Cape Penn Lopin is on a roll, and we're going to see how they do next week. And the next game that we are going to be talking about here is the Conrad Red Wolves versus the Milford Buccaneers, as this game took place at Milford, and this was a really, really good game. Milford started off this game hot, with Caden Jarrett throwing touchdown passes and running the ball in, and Conrad couldn't stop him at first, but then Conrad, they start fighting back, played a really good game, as some other guys like Lucas Schmidt, he had 17 carries for 96 yards despite not scoring a touchdown. He had a really good game on the ground. And then Tom McGorry, he also had a really good game, as he went 6 for 7 for 73 yards and 2 touchdown passes, also having 13 carries for 139 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns himself. He played a really good game. Charlie Shuttle from Conrad also had 3 catches for 21 yards and a touchdown. And he had, 3 carries, my bad, for 21 yards and a touchdown. And he had 4 receptions for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. Really good game. And then Kyle Mullen, he also had a really good game too, as he went 3 for 3 passing and went for 28 yards. Also had 1 catch for 11 yards. And all in all, this Conrad team had a really good offensive game, as they did start this game off slow, but then they came back and ended up winning this game by 2 points with a final score of 35-33. Really good game Friday night. And all in all, I think Milford could have did a better job of stopping Conrad, And Conrad is another team I think is also going to be a top 3, maybe top 2 team in 1A, potentially. Seeing how their team is right now, having one of the best tight ends slash linebackers in the state of Delaware in Charlie Shuttle, and Lucas Schmidt, who's a really good running back and a very underrated linebacker. And all in all, we just got to see how they do this year. This team looks good. They got a new quarterback out there. And Conrad, they could be some. They could really do some this year, as they are going to move on to 1-0 on the year. And also, their next game is going to be next Friday at 7 p.m. against Polytech at Polytech. So it's going to be another away game. And that game, I think, is going to be a lot tougher than Milford, but we are going to see how they do. I mean, Conrad can beat Milford, but Polytech, they are a better team, so we're going to see how they do week 2. But it was a really good game, though. Now, the next game we are going to be talking about here is the Middletown Cavaliers versus Red Bank Catholic. As Red Bank Catholic goes 2-0, and Middletown is now 0-2. Yes, Middletown has lost for the second straight week. There is no over-exaggeration or nothing about this game. I mean, Red Bank is a really good team, and they had a really good defensive game as Middletown's offense once again struggled mightily despite having a lot of really good pieces. And this is a team who came back, who's coming off a state championship, and now they're starting the season off 0-2. They lost to Bishop Watterson 14-13 last week, and now they're losing to Red Bank Catholic 13-8. Yes, 2 low-scoring games. This Middletown team, they're still really good. Don't get it twisted. They got a lot of really good players, including a couple nationally ranked players who are going on to play college. But all in all, though, they are going to be playing next week against Our Lady of Good Counsel. They're going to be playing at 7 p.m. And after them, they are going to be playing at home against Smyrna, then Sussex Central. Those are their next 3 games, and I definitely think that Middletown can go on a 3-game win streak, depending on how their team looks. They are 0-2. They lost 2 heartbreakers in low-scoring games. But we gotta see though, this Middletown team, they're gonna win multiple games. Let's expect that. But we're gonna see how they come back from them 2 tough losses. All in all, I definitely think they're gonna be fine. And then the next team that we're gonna be talking about here is the Salesianum Sal's versus LaSalle College. This is their second game of the year at Sally's, as Sally's end up losing their first game of the season. Now they're 1-1, losing 17-28 to LaSalle. It was a really good game for LaSalle. All in all, their offense played well. Azir Nelson, he had a really good game as he had 2 rushing touchdowns. And Gavin Sidwar, he had a really good game on the receiving end for this LaSalle offense. All in all, LaSalle's a really good team, bunch of nationally ranked players just like Sally's is. And it's just, it was a really good offensive game, and their defense played really well as Brady Knabb didn't play the best of games, but he did throw a touchdown pass or so, as he actually threw 1 touchdown pass as he went 12 for 26 for only 145 yards. Not that good of a game, but at least he didn't throw an interception. Also, Dav Hassan had a 28-yard touchdown catch, and Tasir Jones had a 95-yard kick return for a touchdown. Those were some of the key plays that Sally's had in that game, and they just played they played a pretty solid game offensively, putting up 17, which is not that bad. But on the defensive side, they gave up 28, and they definitely did lose their edge rushing, one of their best edge rushers in R.J. Johnson, who ended up going to Rutgers. And they still have a really good defensive line, as they still have Justin McGill, and then they have Ryan Tubero. They still have a good team, you know what I'm saying? I definitely think Sally's is going to come back. They are going to be playing against Melbourne Prep, a team that they lost to last year in a blowout. They lost 3-27 to Melbourne Prep last year, but I definitely think they can definitely get back in the winning column, or come back in the winning column. But all in all, I won't see this game as an overreaction, because LaSalle, they're one of the best schools in the PA area. And all in all, it was just the fact that LaSalle was just a better team. And Sally's, they're one of the best teams in Delaware too. And yeah, they're going to come back. They're going to come back just like I said about Middletown. They're going to come back, do well, and make a run to states just like last year. not an overreaction. Now, the next game that we're going to be talking about here, Apple Quinnipiac High School versus the Dover Senators, as Apple wins 34-20, as it was a really good game for Desai Drummond, as he went 10 for 17 for 162 yards, throwing 2 touchdown passes, one of them being to Dominic Monteibel, and the other one being to Devin Flowers, the junior running back, number 7, who had a catch for 22 yards. In this game, Jahsir Rogers didn't have the best of first games, as he only had 3 for 28. He did have a kick return for a touchdown, but it did get called back, sadly. But all in all, it was a really good game for Apple Quinnipiac, as the offense played really well. But the defense was kind of a little bit questionable, but they still played pretty well when it came down to forcing turnovers, as the Elite Carter, the Temple commit, he had an interception in that game against Dover. And all in all, it was just a good game for Apple offensively. They was hitting on all cylinders. And Dover High School, they did play a pretty good game too. They put up 20 points. That's not a bad start. I definitely do think Dover is going to have a pretty solid year. I don't think they're going to be the best of all best of all teams in the division. But I do see Dover having a pretty solid year, probably winning about 3 to 4 games. But overall, I think Dover just needs to, get better on defense, get their stuff together on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they look good, played good. They went down the field, scored a couple times. And for Apple, they just outplayed them. They were scoring a lot, put up almost 40 on them. Could have, probably. But all in all, really good game for both teams on the offensive side. Not really good, but a good game for Dover on offense, and a really good game, even better offense, a game for Apple, and a pretty good defensive game to where Apple did force a turnover despite giving up only 20 points, which is a lot for a defense to give up. But yeah, honestly, it was a good game. I think Apple's going to be a top 3, top 4 team. They got the Gatorade Player of the Year, Desai Drummond, and 4-star receiver, aka the Penn State commit, Jahsir Rogers, and all them. And yeah, Apple, they just look like a really good team, and I definitely see them going to the state semifinals this year. And as for Dover, I just see them being just solid, just like last year. And then the next game we're going to talk about here is Caravel Academy, the undefeated. Not undefeated. Well, they are undefeated right now. But Caravel Academy versus Red Lion, as Caravel won this game with a final score of 42-18. Red Lion takes another brutal loss for the second straight week. They did play against the best team in 3A, and then they're playing Caravel, who I think is going to be a top 5 team in the 3A division, despite coming from 2A. And they did go 2-0, not 2-0, they did go 10-0 back-to-back years, and won back-to-back state championships. And that's why I think Caravel is going to be top 5 in 3A this year. But all in all, I don't really know much about this game. I just know that it was 2 really good teams going against each other. Caravel, they played a really good game from what I've seen, or from what I've heard so far, as they won 42-18. As I said, they put up 42 points, and they only allowed 18, which is not that great. But hey, if you're putting up 42, why should it matter? Red Lion, this is the second straight brutal loss for Evan Bullinger and the Red Lion Christian Academy team, as they lost to Sally's 52-6 the previous week, and now they're losing to Caravel 42-18, as now Red Lion is 0-2, and Caravel is 1-0 to start the season. All in all, Red Lion, they are a good team. I definitely think they can be a top 3 team in this 2A class. They just played 2 really tough teams to begin with, as they are going to have a real brutal schedule. And Caravel Academy, they're going to also have a real brutal schedule and have a tougher schedule than Red Lion. But I do say that Caravel can have a better record than, Red Lion. I still think that Caravel can go at least 7-3 and make the state playoffs. As for Red Lion, I still think they could go to the playoffs. They could probably win 8 straight, maybe win 7-6 games. That's all they need, really, to make the state playoffs in 2A. But all in all, I don't really know much about this game. I just know that, Red Lion's a good team. Caravel's a good team. I know the players on the team and all that. Don't get twisted. But all in all, it was just a close game. And, yeah. Then the final game I'll be talking about here, y'all. Sussex Tech versus Tatnall happened earlier this Saturday at 11 a.m. It was a blowout, 40-10. Tatnall, their blocking wasn't all that great, and they also didn't have their starting quarterback in that game, as Tatnall is coming off a 10-0 season where they ended up losing in the state championship to Indian River, who also moved up to 2A with Tatnall and all that, and Polytech too. Polytech moved up to 2A also. All in all, Tatnall just didn't look good. Their defense gave up 40 points, and Tatnall just didn't play well. That's all. Also, I do want to talk about one more game that happened, which we're going to talk about college football, and we're going to talk about the University of Delaware, their first FBS game. Well, not first FBS game, my bad. Their second FBS game of the season against Colorado. As an FBS school, they did end up getting blown out 31-7. I was just watching this game and all that. But yeah, it was not a good game, as Nick Maricucci had went 18 for 36. He threw for 312 yards. He had a touchdown pass to interception. That one touchdown pass ended up going to none other than Jonathan Silver, which Jonathan Silver had a pretty solid game, as he went 5 for 40 in a touchdown. And rushing wise, he had 10 carries for 42 yards. Run game wasn't all that good, but the pass game was aight for the most part, as he gave it to multiple receivers like Jake Dow, Jasir Kelly, Sean Wilson, and Max Patterson, and so on, as a total of 8 receivers, my bad. A total of 8 receivers caught passes from Nick Maricucci, and in the run game, it was 5 of them who ran the ball. All in all, Delaware didn't play that well defensively. Offensively, they was moving the ball. They just could not get in the end zone, and then they threw the interception or whatever. But yeah, all it was the fact that the University of Delaware couldn't finish plays off. That's why they lost this game. Colorado had 3 different quarterbacks in this game, as they all threw the ball pretty well, as they didn't have no turnovers. Caden Salter, the starting quarterback, threw 13 for 16 and 102 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown or interception. The only quarterback who threw a touchdown was Ryan Stabb, their 3rd-string quarterback, who threw 7 for 10, 157 yards, 2 tutties, and no picks. Yes, and all in all, they did run the ball in twice with Micah Welsh, who had 7 carries for 14 yards and a tutty, and Caden Salter, who had 8 carries for 25 yards and a touchdown. The 2 receiving touchdowns did end up going to Sincere Brown, who had 4 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, who played really well and I think was the player of the game. And Decorian Taylor, 4 catches for 49 yards and a touchdown. All in all, the University of Delaware did have 4 sacks in this game, though. That is a takeaway, and I think it's going to be a good takeaway from this game. And for Colorado, they just threw the ball really well, and they ran up the score on Delaware like they were supposed to, as they'll get their first win in the season after losing to Georgia Tech last week. In Delaware, they'll be going down to 1-1 after being DSU the previous week before playing Colorado. All in all, that's really it, though. Thank you guys for enjoying this video. If you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow my Instagram page at AT's Barstool. And with that being said, y'all, thank you guys for enjoying this video. I'll be posting every Sunday up until the season's over. And with that being said, thank you guys for enjoying. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.